Welcome to the third video of our tutorial series on PTC Creo. In this video we are going to learn how to use basically build on our knowledge of the extrude feature that we worked on last time, add a few more elements to it, and actually build a robot part. And I'm going to show you where you can find the robot part that we're going to build. If you go to VexPro's website, www.vexpro.com. Go to VersaFrame, Gussets and Mounts, and if we scroll down and then go to the drawing page, and we're going to do the 90-degree gusset. So click on this. What I suggest you to do is go ahead and print this page out or put it on a separate monitor, because that's what we're going to be building from. And I'm not going to be flipping back to it all the time. I'm just going to be using the dimensions. There's a few things that I will note that right now this just says number 8 screw. It doesn't really give a size for it. I'm going to use 5/32. I know that's about the size that a number 8 screw would use. Also, these chamfers, I believe those are going to be probably 1/8 of an inch, what I'll use on that, but it doesn't give a dimension directly on here. So that's what we're going to start from. We're going to create this. I'll show you at the end of the video that you don't necessarily need to do it for this specific one, but you may want to make your own custom gussets, and going through this exercise will show you how you can do that. Basically, I chose this because there's a drawing out there. It's a relatively simple part that you'll learn a lot from. So I'm going to go to Creo, and we're going to start a new part. It is a part, and we will name it Gusset, and say OK. So first thing we need to do is start just like we did the previous one. We'll do an extrude. We will select a plane to put it on, and then I'm going to choose to go to the sketch view. And when I like to sketch, if I'm doing a somewhat not necessarily a complicated part, but a part that takes multiple lines to build, I like to sketch at least one line, and I usually start at the origin or somewhere that makes sense, and I will sketch one line. And if you like right now, it's trying to build another line on top of it. It just keeps trying to make a chain. But if you middle click, it just makes that one line. And I like to go ahead and just make one line and dimension it first. Same way you dimension, just click on it, then come away and middle click. And then based on the drawing, this should be 2.740 inches. And then after I build one line, the rest of the lines I can go ahead and finish sketching the whole part, relatively close to the size. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but it does some neat things. You'll notice right now this little green symbol says that line's horizontal. If I go off to an angle, it doesn't show it anymore, but if I come close, it tries to snap it, make it horizontal. Also, if I go slowly towards the end of that other line, it tries to make it where it'll connect. You can see the little blue dash line. So you can, it'll help up your sketching sometimes. Sometimes it'll mess you up a little bit, but I want to go ahead and do that, and then I'll close this sketch. And then it's still trying to draw, but if I middle click away, it will finish up my sketch. So now I've dimensioned this end here. I know what it is, but these other lines aren't dimensioned at the moment. So, but there's some neat things that, I know I want this line and this line to be the same length. So what I can do is there's this equals right here. And these are all different constraints that can be used, and we'll go through quite a few of them in these tutorials and use them, but we'll go ahead and use the equal, where you can click on this line. We want this line here to equal this line here. Alright, so it automatically used this 2.74 on this line there. And there's a couple more that we want equal. We want this line. Oh, hold on. I tried to do too many at once because it's still trying to select those. So I'm going to say undo, and then I'll middle click away, and it'll quit trying to make them all equal. So now I can hit equal again, and I can do that line to that line. So it's making those two equal. So now, basically, to completely lock the sketch down, it only has one more dimension you need, but that dimension isn't given in our sketch. So we can actually put in another dimension, this right here, which is given in our sketch, which is a 1-inch line. And as you can see, all of these dimensions are now black, where they were either a blue or a green. That was showing that the part wasn't completely constrained. Now every dimension on this part is filled, and if we went and tried to put another dimension in here, it would give us an error saying that it's over constrained, saying there's too many things going on. So basically we'll just undo that. We didn't want to put that dimension in, I was just showing you. So now we've got the basic L shape of our gusset, and if we hit OK, it's going to try to start extruding the part. And if you middle click, kind of drag it around and look at the 3D view, it's trying to pull it way out. But if we go up here, change the depth on the part is 90 thousandths, 0.090. So it makes a thin part. And we can hit the check mark. Alright, it's beginning to look a lot more like the part in the sketch. So the next thing that I'm going to do is probably, let's add the holes. The holes are something we haven't worked with before, but these are these sub features right here that you can work with. There's this hole tool, and we'll use it. We click on the hole, and it's asking where we want to put the hole. We want it on that surface. And you can see it's kind of trying to show us about where the hole is going to be. We can use these green little tabs, and we can drag one to this edge because we want to make a dimension it from that edge. We want to dimension it from the bottom edge, and they're both, if you look at the drawing, it places it right in the middle. Which is actually from this outer edge, it's saying it is 0.495. I really figured it would be right at a 1/2 inch, but it's showing it's not actually in the center, which is somewhat surprising to me, but that is what it is. So we'll use the dimensions they have on their drawing. Okay, and like I said earlier, that the diameter is going to be 5/32. And you can go ahead and just type in a math equation. That's one of the neat things about this. Is you don't have to know it in decimal form. And earlier when I talked about you could put in the depth or of an extrusion or a hole right here, you can also use this drop down to make it go all the way through a part, up to a surface, other things. I'm going to go up to a surface and go around to the back surface and just let it go all the way to that surface. And I'm going to hit check. So I've made one hole, but if I want to make a pattern of holes, is essentially what we have here. What I'm going to do is there's this pattern tool here. You can click right there, or you can go to the hole and right click in the menu tree, and there's a pattern feature there. They both do the same thing, there's different ways to get to it. Click on it. Now it says, okay, what do you want to pattern, or how do you want to pattern it? If I click on this dimension here, and I say I want to pattern that 0.5, but I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, and I say okay, it puts 5 of them in there. Now let's say, well, I want to pattern, them going this way as well. What you can do is just, when I was talking earlier, you can edit the definition of this, and we can go to dimensions and then in direction 2, click here, add there, it's at 0.5. I want 5 of them. And you can see we're patterning it this way, but I want to show you what happens if I check this now. It's actually trying to put, completely fill up this pattern, but there's a way we can, turn some of those off. So if we go back, edit definition, see all these holes it's trying to pattern. If you click on the ones you don't want to actually pattern, they'll turn white. So just each of them, just go and click them off, and it'll only do the ones that are left black. So we're turning off features we don't want to go in through our pattern. Alright, so now we've got the whole pattern that we want. Basically the only features we don't have are the fillets on the edge and the chamfers. So what we can do is put a chamfer on this edge. So we click the subfeature chamfer, and then click the edges we want to add it. And I believe I said, 1/8 of an inch. Well, that might be a little bit big compared to the drawing, but it doesn't really matter too much. And we can go through and click each one of these, but if you hit Control, it'll basically take the dimension we have here and tie all these together. So I'm going to hold down the Control button and click this next edge, zoom out, go to all the edges that I want to do, hit Control while I'm doing it, and you can see you can actually kind of click through an edge. If you just kind of hover it over, it'll go onto it, but sometimes that's a little tricky, so you can actually rotate it till you can see the edge you want to click on. Okay, so those are the sides that we wanted chamfered. Click the check mark, and so we're almost there. Basically we need our radius right in here to be like the part. So we're going to go to round, very similar to a chamfer. Click there. That's a big round that it puts in. I think it probably ought to be 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch. We'll start with 1/4 and say okay. So right there, that looks pretty much like the gusset that is on the website. And just wanted to go quickly through it. Now I'm going to show you kind of a shortcut where you didn't necessarily have to do that on this particular part, because most of the parts that we can purchase are going to be online somewhere. But this is a good exercise, and a lot of times you want a gusset that may not be a 90-degree angle. You may want a certain angle specifically for a robot, and you can build your own gusset. But if, let's say, you did want to build this gusset into a robot, you can actually go to Vex's website where we got this print. If you go back, they have a CAD file, and this instead of doing the 90-degree, we'll do the 60-degree just so you can, or actually, no, we'll do the 90-degree. We'll click on this step file, and it downloads it, and I will go show it in the folder. Okay, and if I'm going to actually move this to my desktop to first Creo, just so I could find it, and I will open it in Creo and show you that it's pretty much exactly what we just drew. So if I go to my desktop, first Creo, and notice that it's not showing up right now because Creo's looking for its native files, and a lot of stuff you download on the internet will be maybe made in SolidWorks or another thing, but they're usually saved in a step or an IGES or something common. But if we go to all files, we can see it now. Double click on it, say we want to open it as a part, say okay. Okay, so that is the part that we downloaded and you can see it looks a lot like what we just made. Some interesting things is it doesn't have anything in the model tree that we can edit, so this part is just what they call a dumb solid. There's nothing we can really change on it. What we can do is we can add new features. We could extrude, we could change some stuff, but we can't go back and change this hole size when we download things from the internet. But a lot of times we're just looking to get parts that we have. So, I hope this was helpful. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know.